Alright everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be recapping The Boys episode 4 and 5. So let's get right into it. Episode 4, Wisdom of the Ages, opens with Homelander going to visit Vault Labs, where he was born, raised, and experimented on. He brings the scientists that are currently working down there an ice cream cake. Everyone is nervous, but Homelander is acting like it's a simple family reunion. Butcher is taking a shower, and we see this worm-like creature crawling around in his back under his skin. Suddenly he starts to lose consciousness and passes out. Huey finds out his father is brain dead and they want to remove his feeding tube. Annie goes to visit Singer and says she'll jump on his campaign, getting her people into the streets to get more support behind him, as long as he promises to destroy Vought, which is kind of his whole thing, so... Frenchie and Colin talk about his family and how they were killed. Colin mentions seeing the man's ankles and how they were scarred up, which makes Frenchie very uncomfortable, tugging at himself to ensure his ankles are covered. Annie and her people notice Vought setting up a truth bomb stage right across the street from Starlight House. Sage preps the team on their next play, which is bringing down Starlight. Sage hands Firecracker a tablet with information that she should close her show with. Back at the lab, Homelander singles out Frank to play a game of basketball and reminds Frank of a time when Frank was making shots in the basket while turning up the heat on him to see if his skin would burn. Then he tells Frank to get in the oven so he can watch him take his last shot. Another man, Marty, tries to talk him out of it, but Homelander says it's either Frank or Frank and his whole family. As soon as Frank steps in, Homelander closes the door and cranks the heat up on him. And Frank is engulfed in flames and killed. Huey has a secret meeting with A-Train where he asks if he can get him some compound B for his dad. Kumiko is with him and we can see there are people around looking at them through a sniper scope. Once A-Train leaves, they begin getting shot at. When Huey asks Kumiko who's after them, she tells him that she just killed a bunch of Shining Light guys and they're trying to get their revenge. While Firecracker and the Deep are singing on stage, Butcher and Mother's Milk sneak into their trailer area to blackmail Firecracker into telling them about Sage's plan. They have information on Firecracker. She apparently assaulted a 15-year-old boy when she was his camp counselor. Firecracker flips the script on them by tweeting out the information her damn self and then running back on stage to confess to the relationship before making it about Starlight again by bringing up a time when Starlight accidentally blinded someone during a save. Ashley catches A-Train stealing V out of Homelander's room, but she was in there leaving poop in his toilet, so they're at a stalemate. We return to the lab where Homelander is reminding Marty of the nickname he gave him, which was Squirt. And he gave him that nickname because he caught Homelander masturbating and laughed at him. Homelander now wants Marty to jerk it off in front of everyone so they can laugh at him. Everyone is crazy uncomfortable, but they all know they gotta do what he says or die, so Marty just gets to going, you know? He wants him to stiffen up, but under these circumstances, who could? Unless that's your kink, but you know, for Marty it's not, so he's unable. So Homelander lasers him right through the peen. Barbara comes downstairs, prompting Homelander to stop torturing Marty and to just put him out of his misery, which he does. Then she and Homelander decide to have a private talk. While Huey and Kimiko are trying to fight their way out of the ambush, Kimiko comes face to face again with the woman from before. Her name is Tala. Kimiko reaches her hand out to Tala, trying to tell her that it's safe to leave with her, but Tala reminds her that it was Kimiko who baited her with ice cream and helped kidnap her before forcing her to fight, leaving her with permanent scarring on her face. Back at the trailers, Frenchie has broken into Firecrackers and finds the tablet Sage gave her. Right then, Firecracker, on national television, this has gotta be illegal, but whatever, shows Annie's medical records and exposes the fact that she got an abortion. This obviously sends Annie into a rage and she runs off. Ezekiel catches Frenchie in Firecracker's trailer, which Butcher overhears and runs to help Frenchie. Annie attacks Firecracker on stage, beating her within an inch of her life, and she would have killed her if Mother's Milk hadn't stopped her. Butcher is getting strangled by Ezekiel when his little worm thing starts moving around. He blacks out and wakes up to Ezekiel exploded and blood everywhere. I think his little worm thing is his soup ability. Like if you ever watched that anime Anjin, and there's another one too, but I can't think of it. Like I don't know if it's an anime, but they have like tattoos, and when they get cornered, the tattoo will come out and turn into like a creature and fight people. And I feel like there's another one where somebody has like a worm that will come out of their body. But Anjin, is that that's an anime. It's a real dark anime. And they're like immortals. The jinns are immortal people. And when they're in distress, like this shadow being comes out of them and fuck people up for them. So I liken it to that. I think that's what's going on. I think that's the little ability he's working with. Barbara tells Homelander about his birth and upbringing, talking about how terrified of him everyone was and how he could have broken out of there whenever he wanted to, but didn't because he was programmed to seek validation. Homelander says that's not his problem anymore and tells her he's about to show her why he used to call this the bad room. Frenchie is being nursed by Colin when he snaps on him, telling him to stop being nice to them. Then he decides to show Colin his ankles. Colin flies off the handle, as he should, and starts beating Frenchie's ass. He starts choking him, and I really wanted him to kill him, but he didn't. Instead, he tells him to stay away from him. In the next scene, we find out who's lobotomizing Sage. Sage! Sage did it. Apparently, her brain consistently rejuvenates, and to escape being the smartest person in the world for a little bit, she likes to scrape her brain and be a little dumb for a couple of hours. So she asks the Deep to help her, and they proceed to get it on afterwards. Vicky does an interview denouncing Starlight as Annie and Huey have a moment about their personal business that just got blasted. A-Train brings Huey the Compound V, but Butcher catches him and talks him out of giving it to his father. Huey goes to visit his father and seriously contemplates giving his father the V, but decides not to. He walks away for a moment, and when he comes back, he notices the V in his father's tube, and his father's heart rate starts climbing. This episode ends with Homelander leaving the lab in an elevator, and he's drenched in blood like he was swimming in it. It looks like he left Barbara alive. We see her still in that room surrounded by just pure gore. Like he tore all of those people apart in front of her. Episode 5, Beware of the Jabberwock, my son. What's a Jabberwock? Should I have Googled that? Opens at the V52 Expo where Homelander is acting weird, and I know he's always a bit strange, but he's unresponsive when Sage tries speaking to him, and he's having these flashbacks of the horror show he left in the lab. Huey is at the hospital with his mom and dad. Hugh Sr. is awake and feeling amazing, but Huey is worried about potential side effects. Annie seems to be slowly losing her grip as she continues to watch Firecracker's content. I'm not sure if this is her way of punishing herself because she feels guilty about what she did, but she need to cut it out. In the next scene, we see Mother's Milk and his ex-wife arguing over the fact that their daughter, Janine, has been suspended for giving a boy stitches. Apparently, she's been getting into fights at school over Homelander. I'm guessing they told her the truth about Marvin's death, so she isn't a fan anymore. Kessler is showing Butcher photos from Godolkin, images of the soup sick with the virus. Kessler wants the two of them to pull this job off without the others, but Butcher is hesitant. Annie questions Frenchie about Colin going ghost while he snorts coke at his desk. Like, fire Frenchie, y'all. Mother's Milk questions Butcher on how he killed Ezekiel, and he admits he has no idea. Then he tells them about the virus and that they should try to go get it from Vicky. Annie and Kamiko, understandably, are not stoked about this, but they'd rather not leave it in Newman's hands. Sage expresses her frustration about trying to find the mole to A-Train, who seems exhausted by putting up an act, and he gives her a look, sure to put her on his scent. Butcher and Mother's Milk visit Stan Edgar in jail in an effort to get him to help them get the virus away from Vicky, but he isn't interested until they reveal Vicky shot her daughter up. Then they get him pardoned out of jail and promise to get him custody of Zoe. Huey, his father, and mother have a sweet little bonding moment at the hospital while his parents reminisce over their honeymoon. When his mother goes to the restroom, he confronts his father about giving his mom power of attorney. But to this, he reminds Huey of when he wouldn't let his cat be put down when it was dying from cancer, instead allowing it to suffer. You don't want to end up like that cat. Then there's a moment when his father seems to lose his memory. Edgar takes the crew to a farm where they discover it's been turned into a lab where they've been experimenting on animals. Vicky ambushes them, accusing them of doing something to Samir. Adam is pitching a movie idea to Homelander and Ryan when Bonnie, a PA, walks in and Adam begins crossing boundaries and being super gross. Ryan notices it and it makes him uncomfortable. Ryan does not like the movie idea, and instead of Homelander pressing the issue, he instead tells Ryan that he doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to. Adam ends up handing over his credit card and keys to his car in an effort to bribe Ryan, but he still says no, and they walk away. Homelander has really changed his approach with Ryan and is no longer going to force him to do anything he doesn't want to, and tells him he's done with the rules. He has a fully transparent moment with his son, which works so damn well to bring Ryan to his side. He's starting to see his father as his friend, which is so dangerous. Y'all gonna have to kill that little boy. I'm telling you. Back at the farm, the crew is getting attacked by beat up chickens during their search for Samir, and Vicky reveals the deal Butcher made with her, pissing the boys off that much more. Ashley gets dumped, which devastates me. This man turned to her and said, I need a dom that's actually dominating. The way that would have broken my heart. Not my little subby poo telling me I'm not that bitch anymore. And it's actually true. I would have thrown up. Firecracker snaps on Sage for setting her up to get beaten by Starlight. Sage tries to redirect her, but it doesn't work. Starlight knocks Newman out just for talking to her. And I'm like, girl, is you crazy? You know she can explode your head, right? She wasn't even talking reckless. She was just telling her to get her shit together, which she obviously needs to. A-Train confesses to Ashley that he is the mole and forces her to help him get Sage off of his trail. Back at the hospital, Huey and his mom can't find his dad, and they find him in a different hospital room, standing over a dead body, holding a heart in his hand. A nurse walks in, startling him, and all hell breaks loose. Apparently, he's able to walk through walls and people. His memory is shot and he's confused, but he does recognize his ex-wife Daphne. And he's pissed at her for leaving him and ruining their lives, so he starts chasing her. Homelander asks Ryan what he wants to do, and Ryan says he wants to help people in real life. Homelander asks if he wants to save Bonnie, which he do. So Ryan calls Bonnie over and asks her if Adam makes her uncomfortable. And he tells Adam to apologize. But this escalates into Ryan telling her to beat his ass, which she does with enthusiasm. Okay. Horrible. But I know that felt good to that girl. And it felt good to Ryan, which is a major problem. Back at the farm, our poor little crew is getting attacked now by flying beat up sheep. They manage to get inside of a barn house where they finally find Samir, who has one last dose of the virus. They decide to inject one of the dead bodies with it and feed it to the animals. Hugh Sr. finally corners Daphne, but Huey's able to break through to him long enough to get him to agree to let him ease his suffering. The trick with the virus works, and everyone is able to make it out alive, except they lose track of Samir once again, recovering only his leg. Edgar is handcuffed and sent back to jail, since their deal was contingent on them getting the virus, but Vicky goes rogue and gets her dad back. Back at Vault, Homelander discovers the mole, who is revealed to be Cameron Coleman. Apparently, Ashley thought it would be hilarious to plant evidence on him, one, to help A-Train, and two, to get her lick back for him dumping her. All the Supes join in on whooping his ass, which is crazy. In the next scene, we see Frenchie go down to the police office and confess to being a murderer. Huey hooks his father up to an IV and administers a cocktail of lethal drugs. He and his mother do their best to comfort him in his final moments. They talk about taking a family trip to Paris as Huey Sr. slips away peacefully. Then we see Kessler and Butcher pull up to some secluded area where they have Samir chained up, and they tell him that everything's gonna be fine. They just need him to cook up another batch of the virus. And that is how episode 5 comes to an end. Now, how do they expect Samir to recreate the virus? Vicky killed the only person who knew how to make it. Or did I miss something? Anyway, poor Huey, he is plagued with loss. And what's going on with Starlight? She on vacation or something? I'm not really interested in Frenchie's little side saga, but I would love to see Kamiko get revenge on all them shining light people. And possibly rehabilitate Tala. And do you guys think the Cameron decoy is enough to get Sage off the A-Train? A part of me thinks she knows it's him, but doesn't care. Kinda like she's rooting for him to get himself out of it, but who knows? I'm yet to really get a thorough read on Sage. But yeah, these 2 episodes were entertaining as usual. I mean, what else do you expect from the boys? How could you have a bad thing to say about this show? Oh, and I discovered something interesting today. So I checked my analytics a long time ago to see where a majority of my followers are from, and a majority of them are male and from Japan. And then today, I was watching Khadija Mbao's video about teeth. Go watch her video. She's amazing. Love her. But she mentioned that in Japan, they find snaggle teeth to be enduring. And it just made my followers make that much more sense. Y'all in love with this little snaggle-tooth. I see you. And because I love y'all, I'm never gonna get it fixed. Y'all gonna be able to stare at this little snaggle-tooth forever. Anyway, you guys, that's all I have for you today. As usual, leave your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.